So our next speaker is M. Bartels. She's no stranger to the ICPD alumni. She's no stranger to most of you who would have joined us this week. M. Bartels is the founder and executive director of GPA Awards International Limited, a professional development organization that supports executives through creativity, innovation, and excellence. She is the ICPD's Africa representative, overseeing its businesses mainly in West Africa. She's also the founder of Excel Consulting GH, Excel Branding Consult, a personal branding expert and executive coach with a track record of building incredible personal brands that help executives to stand out, become visible, and attract a passionate tribe through communication and etiquette. She's also a certified communication expert, passionate about oral communication, as well as how executives present themselves digitally and virtually. An influencer and an ardent public speaker, Ms. Bartels also supports and coaches one-on-one C-suite executives, senior government officials, media houses, banks, institutions, and parastatals. She is a certified protocol and etiquette executive. Ms. Bartels' presentation is entitled Technology Diplomacy, Enabler of Sustainable Development. And now welcome to the floor, M. Bartels.
Thank you so much, Tamisha, for that introduction there. I'm going to be sharing just before that, Nancy, that was absolutely wonderful. You were just speaking my language. So I was taking notes and taking all that in. Thank you so much for that as well. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm talking today about technology diplomacy. Is it an enabler of sustainable development? We're going to be seeing that. I also want to talk about a little bit on the history of technology or digital diplomacy and how it came about. The little bit of introductions on it. You know, the digital transformation has actually permeated all fields and facets of life, and diplomacy is no exception. And it's now taking center stage as a game-changing concept in all aspects of our life. In the current 21st century, diplomatic and protocol practitioners cannot afford and must, as I say, use relevant digital skills to help them transform their societies. There's also now a growing demand for digital diplomacy and virtual protocol as vital skills in international relations. COVID-19 that's just gone past, I personally think became an enabler because we were all tagged away and we could do nothing other but to use technology to communicate. So it's now become an enabler and a highlighter of digital technologies. I say today's global problems of sustainability require a new approach in international relations. And what is it? I see technology as a revolution. And I say the digital revolution has begun. It's actually begun in the way that it influences international relations and diplomacy, in the sense that now more than ever, diplomats, international organizations are using digital technology to communicate more than any other time. And it also has an effect on foreign policy and decision making. Whatever decision you make, it's immediately out there and people can tell, respond to it, or engage with it. It's also, as I said, revolutionized our communication and information dissemination. You know, I can sit here and send information, tons of information to anybody, anywhere else in the world. And that's what the digital revolution has done. It's also changed the political landscape, political and social landscapes across the globe. How's that possible? Because I'm sitting here talking to Nancy in America and talking to Patricia in the UK, and I'm in Ghana. So it's changed the way we can communicate now. We've now become a little global village because we can communicate with people everywhere and anywhere. So how has this affected the way we work? Our world of work has changed. It's now a world where everything has become digital and technology based. And then we now have people working remotely. I mean, I live in Ghana and work for a company in the UK, people living in America, Ghana working for companies in America. All that has changed. And we're all connected via the internet and through globalization. So it is imperative that states, diplomats develop and implement strategies with tangible impact on digital diplomacy. I like what Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, said about digital revolution. He says, any kind of job is going to have a digital component. It doesn't mean that everyone is going to be computer scientists. However, as long as you have a job now in the 21st century, it will have a digital component. So we must all avert ourselves to it and also develop the skills required to do so. So why do people have to engage in digital diplomacy? It's a challenge we all have to take up. And we all know that the stakeholders that we deal with already have a digital presence. And they, you know, it's an opportunity for companies, organizations, stakeholders to become relevant in this current technological world. And it's just like we're doing now, we're engaging a virtual audience. And also what digital technologies do for diplomacy is it helps to promote friendly international relations, because we can now communicate on one-on-one, we can communicate via the internet with them. So what's the benefit? It allows citizens to influence governments. It creates a positive image. I heard the first speaker talk about national brand. Actually, digitalization or digital diplomacy in a way can be used to create an effective national brand based on the way you market the company online and in virtual platforms. Sorry about that. I need to go back again. It's also a very low budget thing because it's very attractive. You don't have to spend on big media budgets for big media organizations. You can just have the internet and share information, and it's so very low. And I also see it as dynamic content because you know, states can share information about all these through videos. So, and it's also a space for interaction. So what is the growing importance of digital technology or technology diplomacy? You know, the emergence of the new digital governance topics such as AI, cybersecurity, privacy data, data governance, e-commerce, cybercrime. I mentioned AI governance as well, big data and AI analysis, online human rights, e-health, digital health. and also digital tools such as social media and online conferencing. The advent of all of this has helped to grow digital diplomacy. And I just wanted to show if people wanted to build these are the I would say statistics show that the largest usage of social media, Facebook, and people can just take a note of that. And then I'll move on to how has technology affected, or I'll say technology diplomacy affected sustainable development? How has it affected it? I like a quote by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. You know, in his State of the Planet speech, he said, the world economy needs to transform to embrace a sustainable economic model with cleaner infrastructure, including digital and internet infrastructure. I'll say that again. The world economy needs to transform to embrace a sustainable economic model with cleaner infrastructure, including digital and internet infrastructure. And I think that is the way we're going. And because of the sustainability issues, diplomats, states, people who are stakeholders have to be aware of all of this and how they apply these in sustainable development goals. So is technology an enabler of SDGs? That's what I'm going to ask right now. Is technology an enabler of SDGs? Let's look at some points here. The very second that just elapsed, over 116 terabytes of data were exchanged through the internet, just 1 second. It's an amount comparable to 10 times what was produced by the Hubble Space Telescope in 1 year. I remember that in 1990. And that is, you know, in 1990, a whole space telescope actually produced 116 terabytes of data. Yet today, that is in just 1 second, that's how much data is transferred or exchanged throughout the internet. So that's mind-boggling, isn't it? And the spread of information communication technology and global interconnectedness has great potential to bridge the digital divide and to develop knowledge societies, in the sense that, you know, because of ICT, anybody anywhere in the world can learn the skills and apply the skills and build up on their knowledge as well. Technology also serves as a support structure for all the 17 SDGs, which is boggling, but I will just select a few and talk about it. I also think that technology also helped to bring advancement towards meeting targets, especially in health, education, finance, energy, climate change, and more. It's just helped that because you now have e-health, you now have e-education, you can sit online and get all the education that you want. And, you know, e-finance, whatever, this has become so relevant now, and with energy and climate change as well. Technology also helps to support businesses for net zero and other environmental, social, and governance goals. Because I've noticed that these days, the ESGs have become very, very, international organizations insist on companies, nations having relevant ESG scores, and technology actually supports businesses to attain net zero and other environmental, social, and governance tools. We have this, SDGs stated right here, but I'm going to be talking just about, I would say, 8 of them. Technology and diplomacy actually affects all the SDG goals. However, I will just talk about 8 of them. The SDG goal number 1, which is about ending poverty. So technology can ensure that equal rights to economic forces, because once you have the technology to use what you need to use, there's improvement of productivity as well, because then you use Internet of Things, you use all the sophisticated technology allows you to produce better. And in doing so, people's means of income, livelihood, access to finance actually increase. And it also promotes what I call financial inclusion, sense that because of technology, mobile technology, we now have in Africa, for instance, we now have what we call the mobile money, which has promoted and created more financial inclusion as well. And also because of technology, people have access to wider markets. They can communicate with international organizations, they can now communicate with international clients and customers, and have markets where they can sell to. Therefore promote reducing poverty. We also, I will talk about the SDG goal 2, about ending hunger. How do we achieve food security and how do we achieve all this? I say to myself, the means by which we do this is promote sustainable agriculture. We had that in on the day 1, a lot of talk about sustainable agriculture, and it also helps farmers to have direct access to markets. And then it gives them direct access to market information, weather forecasts, logistics, storage, and it also helps increase agricultural yield. How does that happen? Because you have knowledge about how to improve your agricultural practices, help promote and increase your agricultural yield through restoration of soil and also reducing waste and improving what I call productivity. The third goal is promoting healthy lifestyles and what I call well-being. I think connectivity and digital technologies are close to creating a global healthcare ecosystem. And ICTs, information communication technology, allow health workers to be connected to what I call the information and diagnostic services. So that's also very important. It also helps with analytics, which help healthcare professionals make projections about diseases, patient attitudes, and to enable effective continuous management of diseases and health practices. I know in Africa, for instance, or recent in Ghana, we heard about robotic surgery in one of our hospitals, and also what we call drones and delivery of medical supplies in Africa. I know Kigali does it, Ghana also does it, where we use drones to deliver what we call medical supplies as well. Concern SDG 4, I think the best thing that actually happened, because I love teaching, and I think it's what technology has done is brought about inclusive and quality education. And I would say maybe inclusive and equitable quality education. And with technology and everything going on, is allows students to have access to equitable quality devices as well, and learning resources, opportunities in remote and low income areas. Teachers can now prepare for classes anytime and anywhere. And ICT opened up access to education for people to understand populations whom they are dealing with as well. I know that some African countries or some countries have this one laptop, one student situation, where they were giving students laptops, tablets, or mobiles to enable them work school, their projects and schoolwork or homework. And I also know about access to content where these laptops have ebooks or textbooks put on them. So what happens is these students can learn however remotely they are. They can learn and help to bridge the digital divide and to promote them. Also, I think technology has helped to promote research, suitable educational technologies as well. And in doing that, is led to improved economic opportunities. I also talk about SDG 7. I know it affects all of them, but I've selected 8 of them to highlight this. Clean energy. I think technology has helped organizations achieve energy efficiency, reduce emissions. And what this has also done is helped to make strides in more environmentally sound and less carbon intensive products and services. These include smart grids, smart buildings and homes, smart logistics that improve energy efficiency and lower energy consumption across different sectors. It also, I think, technology affects how, the SDG 8, improve getting decent work and economic growth. How is that affected? I say that sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth and employment and decent work is available because of technology. I know ICT is transforming day-to-day business in both traditional and new sectors. There are new sectors that are coming up, and ICT actually transferring, or I'll say transforming these sectors. The 21st century, I call diplomats, executives, people who work in international relations will have to develop, increase, and promote their ICT skills to become relevant so that it can help with the economic transformation that's taking place. I mean, these days, I know that a 10% increase in capital service translates to a 0.9% increase in GDP. This was revealed at the World Economic Forum, and I thought that's very good. World Economic Forum as far back as 2020. A 10% increase in ICT services translates to at least a 9% increase in GDP. We also have things like the Internet of Things, where devices have sensors and stuff like that that are used to help increase and promote business. I think what we also have things like robotic, cloud computing, edge computing, data science, and analytics, which have all helped to bring about economic transformation. So it is important to say that technology helps to bring decent work and economic growth, because these ICT companies would employ more people and, better quality job and all that, and it will help to promote them as well. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. I think that with technology, industries can build innovative infrastructure. Not only that, they can also promote sustainable and inclusive industrialization, because they can check their CO2 emissions and correct it. They can also minimize their CO2 emissions because of this. So, and also when you look at it, because of the very nature of information communication technology, it fosters innovation on a regular basis, as well as research. And let's take the mobile phone. Compare the mobile phone you had in 1990 to the mobile phone you have now. The mobile phone you had in 1990 was actually just a phone. Now, the mobile phone you have now is not only a phone, it's also a computer, as well as a lot more. It takes photographs, it does a lot more than we thought about. And this is fostering, ICT is fostering innovation and research. As what, because of technology, we can now, foster online collaboration and co-creation. What happened with us as we were trying to organize this? We were from different parts of the world, but we were all creating things on a platform through Google, Google Meets, through all mother and kind of things. What we did was we were using a lot of information technology to get this to come about. And there's also what it helps to do is the learning and the work, because we can learn new items through technology, and we can work with technology and produce better work because of that. Climate action. I think there's, ICT makes it possible for us to say we need current action on climate change. So to combat climate change and its impacts, as technology actually helps to do that. And then smart ICT applications for energy, transport and buildings, manufacturing, smart devices, which I mentioned that, agriculture and urbanization, all have its way in helping to reduce climate change. Because then if we know what to do, we can now not use pesticides that affect climate, but we can also use organic fertilizers, which will help in our agriculture and urbanization needs. I think what the technology does is it fosters resilience and climate adaptation, in the sense that we're able to get information regularly and constantly to help us to adapt and build more resilience in the way we work. So there are two things that I wanted to share about before I go, and this is just about rounding. Green diplomacy. When I have that, this actually helps to promote SDGs. And what is green diplomacy about? I just read about it and I did a bit more research about it. It's actually not just promoting climate change per se, but it's preventive diplomacy that seeks to build resilience and harmonize the interest of states with interest of every human being on the planet concerning the conservation and development of natural conditions of life. So what we do with green diplomacy is we help to prevent climate change. We help to build resilience. Oh, sorry about that. We help, sorry about that. We help to build resilience, and we help with conservation, we help with the development of natural conditions of life. And also, I heard about climate diplomacy, which includes the use of diplomatic tools to support ambitious and functioning of international climate change regime to help to negate the impacts and climate change risks, which pose for peace, stability, and prosperity. And we all know, oh dear, we all know what happened in Turkey recently, and there was nothing we can do about it. But if technology was available to predict and project, we could have probably minimized the total effects or degradation that actually took place. I just also wanted to share about some environmental impacts of new technologies. You know, yes, technology is good as a driver for SDG goals, but what is the impact of using technology? Some staggering statistics that came out. It says that data centers that actually use technology actually generate 2% of global carbon emissions. And this accounts for around 7% of global electricity. So we could be using 20% of all the world's electricity when we use technology by 2025. And it's also responsible, you know, technology is responsible for 5.5% of the world's greenhouse gas. And you know, technology will become the 5th largest polluter in the world after China, USA, India, and Russia if we do not work, have an action to work to make sure that, yes, we use technology, but we ensure that technology does not also become what I call technology does not become a nemesis, in the sense that whilst we're using it, it's also affecting or impacting our climate and earth. I also wanted to say that the advent and the use of things like AI and edge computing, these are environmental impacts, but this is a benefit actually, because it helps to foster less error-prone work. Because we're using AI and edge, it fosters less error. We have there's less opportunity to cause error, but it will not replace humans. As I had in several places, there's yes, technology will not replace humans. And though technology is an enabler for success in global economy, we also have to make sure that there's cyber security, privacy, and AI governance. Thank you very much. And this is all I wanted to talk about. And if you get some information about me, I've put some information of me out there, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn or any of my social media, or check mbartels.com for more information. Tamisha.
I am here. Thank you very much for that insightful presentation. and actually showing us the whole importance of how technology really drives our world right now and how it clearly linked to the SDGs and the different parts of the SDGs and how this linkages really came about. I think everyone was really impressed with this presentation, I'm telling you. And then you came in with how AI really works with this present, with technology and healthcare and, everything. It was very, very insightful for me.